All right. I don't know if we're live. I don't know what's happening, but here we are. Welcome to all of you. And if we didn't make it live, you'll be able to watch the recording. So I just want to introduce to you all of you this morning. And first of all, welcome you to getting a little de-stressed on all of the anxiety that's going around with the COVID-19 virus. And I want to make sure you all understand this is not about any kind of health measures to correct, save, interrupt, do anything with the virus. This is quite simply for us to be able to de-stress all of the anxiety that's going on. So I want to introduce to you Vivienne, an incredible healer that I met, I think almost a year ago already, and have been able to have some amazing healing sessions with her. And so I've asked her to come on and do a tapping to help with the anxiety that everybody seems to be feeling with the COVID virus. And we would really like for you to join in if you can, and you can ask questions if you can. Vivienne has been doing healing, all sorts of she's been learning since in her late 30s. She's a mom, a grandma, and a great-grandma, comes from Australia and lives currently in British Columbia. And she is going to share with us her experience a little bit about what she's done. Vivienne, tell us a little bit about some of your healing, learning, training experiences, things that you have been engaged in this lifetime of healing.
Well, first of all, thanks for the introduction. I'm a Reiki master, so therefore I've been teaching Reiki for quite some years. About 15 years ago, I think it was, 15 years ago, I came across the EFT method. And the minute I read about how it worked, I knew I could teach it. And so I've been teaching that ever since for 15 years. And some of the results that we've achieved have been just short of miraculous, really. I've started taking it into schools. I've started in Canada doing it with teaching just the teachers. And recently in Australia, I went into a school for children with special needs. And I actually worked with the children and the teachers. And the tapping just blew their minds away. The things that have happened that mothers thought would never happen, teachers thought would never happen. And it's the best report I've got back from schools has been that the tapping has actually stopped bullying. And the reason is that we tap away the children's fear of the bullies, and then the bullies have no weak people to work on. And so the bullying has basically stopped. But it's been, that's been just working with the tapping. I've been working for years with my other healing abilities, and some of the stories would fill a book, and on one of these days I'm having to write a book.
I hope one day you write that book, because I've heard some of the stories and have been just amazed at what you've been able to help people with and what you've been able to do, or what healing has come through you. So it's been amazing. And so tell us a little bit about the EFT experience, as you had, what's some of the things that you've been able to help people with EFT?
Can I just tell one of my stories?
You can.
One of my favorite stories is my husband and I were on a cruise ship with some relatives and who I'd never met before. And one of the old ladies came down to breakfast one morning, and she was seething with anger. She was just so angry. She was over 80. And her fists were clenched and her jaw was clenched. And she said, one of these days I'm just going to kill him. And
I think we've all felt that at times if we've had a partner.
And because I realized I'd been introduced to her the night before and I felt as if I knew her, I just said to her, Mary, would you like to get rid of that anger? And she goes, would I? And I just took her hand for a moment and I just tapped on her karate chop point, which we'll learn about in a moment. And I just started the tapping, and the round of tapping I actually physically did on myself, not on her. And at the end of the round of tapping, she let go this huge sigh and she said to me, how did you do that? And I don't even believe in this stuff. And one of the beautiful things about that story was for the rest of the day, Mary and her husband were like honeymooners, and they'd been married for over 50 years.
Wow.
And in,
Is there a marriage that wouldn't want that?
and in the evening, as we're all sitting around deciding we'll go and see the Piano Man, Mary's husband said, "Oh, I'm going to bed." And Mary said, "Oh, I think I'll stay with the girls and go and see the Piano Man." So he said, "Okay, I'm going. Good night, everybody." And off he went. And she slapped me on the leg and she said, "Oh my God, in 50 years, I've never done that. I've always gone to bed when he goes to bed because that's what I was taught." And then she said, "You might have created a monster." And it was so beautiful to see the transformation in this lady that had carried this anger for so long, for little things, silly little
Yes,
things.
yes. But
That was
it's
one of
always the little things that kind of undo us,
always,
isn't it?
always the
Yes.
little things, yes. So that was one of the things, one of my favorite stories.
And I think at this time in our world, as we're all, self-isolating and or social distancing, and I have friends whose husbands are working out, and they come home and they're like in separate rooms and separate bedrooms, and boy, it's gonna be hard on all of us. So let's get started. I want to share with you a little bit about what EFT is and exactly how this works. And again, this is about stress relief for the COVID-19 with Vivienne, Australian master. And what is EFT? EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. It is scientifically proven. So this is not something that is just a whimsical little thing. It's not airy-fairy. This is scientifically proven, a technique that works by sending calming signals to the stress center of the brain. It allows both the body and the brain to release blockages, which have been caused by negative experiences, emotions, and thoughts. And we are being just the negativity and the fear is just rolling over us right now in our world. And these create blockages in our lives that stop us from achieving our goals and just having a peaceful, love-filled life. And tapping is the general term because we're not going to keep saying EMT and all those long terms. So it's about tapping and getting tapped in. And if you can hear the cat meowing outside my door, she wants to get tapped in too. But we are literally tapping on the ends of energy meridians in our bodies where blockages occur. And I know that I've experienced the benefits of working with Vivienne with this, and she has released much in my life and created so much freedom for me. And I want you to have that opportunity. So as we go forward, here is the word. I'm gonna let Vivienne take over with this. And Vivienne, this is all yours. We're gonna go through what EFT, how it, or not how it works, but what you are having to do and how to make this happen within you and your body. And then I'm gonna shut off my shared screen of the notes, and you're gonna actually get to participate in this process. So Vivienne, away you go. I'll be over here quietly.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so with EFT, as Melody said, it's clearing blockages in our energy system. And these blockages are caused any time that you go through an emotional experience, for any sort of emotion, whether it's anger or sadness or guilt's a big one. But not only when it happens, it also causes another blockage if you remember that incident that's caused the emotional problem. And so what I want to do today, first of all, I want to explain how we go. For those of you who have never heard of tapping before, it's a simple process where we are physically tapping on our bodies. And we start with what we call the karate chop point. And it's the point on the side of your hand between the base of your little finger and your wrist on the fleshy part. And you just use your other hand and you tap on that. And that's where we put in what we call the setup statement. So we tune in and we tell our body what it is that we're working on. So we literally say to our body, even though I've got this problem, I love and accept myself. And you just change the word problem for whatever the problem happens to be. And after you've done that 3 times, then we start with what we call a round of tapping. Now, today, I'm going to show you the basics because I have washed my hands and I know we're not supposed to be touching our hands. But when I start the session later, I won't use the face spots. But today I'm going to explain to you the round of tapping consists of tapping on your eyebrow, near your nose, the outside of your eye, underneath your eye on the bone there, underneath your nose, on the groove of your chin, on your collarbone, under your arm, which is not up in the armpit, but down, for ladies, it's where your bra goes across, and on top of your head. Now, that's all there is to the actual process of EFT, and we use the exact same process for no matter what it is that we're doing and tapping on. And so I thought this morning, just to get you started, I might get you just to choose one thing that's perhaps a memory that makes you really sad, or a memory that every time you think of it, you get angry again, or a memory that sometimes you feel guilty about. I find with the guilt ones, we generally tend to go back to our teen years for some reason. But yes, there's quite often guilt involved that's taken you through your life, and every time you think about it, you get the guilty feeling. So if you can find one of those emotions, and what we do, we like to measure the emotion. In other words, measure the extent. Feel in your body where you feel that emotion, where you feel the sadness, or where you feel the guilt, or where you feel the anger. And if you can, measure that on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the worst possible feeling in the world, 0 being none. And once you've got a number that you're feeling, then we just do a round of tapping on it. And we just tap and say, even though I have this problem, I love and accept myself. And we do that 3 times. Even though I have this problem, I love and accept myself. Even though I have this problem, I love and accept myself. And then we tap around the spots. We start with the eyebrow near the eye. We go on the bone beside the eye, and we keep saying this problem, this sadness, or this guilt, whichever one you've chosen, this anger, this sadness, or this guilt. Work on one issue at a time. Don't, because I'm saying all the words, I'm assuming each of you has a different thing. But just work on one issue at a time. And when you've finished at the top of your head, take a big deep breath. Just like that. And then tune back into your feeling and see if that number that you originally chose has come down towards the 0. Now, as you feel it coming down, you'll realize that you've already shifted something. I have a feeling that those who took part with me in just that very short demonstration already released something from what has gone, what they were feeling in that issue. And so basically, what I want to do today is just to do this with you. It's a very simple method. I don't feel as if we'll need much more teaching than that about what it is, because it's so repetitive that by the time we've gone through the whole process, it's one of those things where you can't help but remember it. And as Melody said, she's got these information written down anyway for you to have later. And so it's something that once you start with it, as I said, there's only 9 spots to tap on, and it becomes a thing that's very easy to remember.
So just, can you, Vivienne, just go through really quick, because my screen, I thought my screen was sharing, it wasn't, but it is now. So side of hand.
Side of hand, as I pointed out, between
Yeah.
the little finger and the wrist. The eyebrow, close to the nose, but still touching the hairs of the eyebrow. On either eyebrow, it doesn't matter which side.
Okay.
Side of the eye, on the bone that's close to the side of the eye. Underneath the eye, on that bone under the eye. Underneath the nose, above the top lip. On the groove of the chin, not the point.
Here?
The groove of the chin, yes. Not the point.
Okay.
On the collarbone's a bit funny one. I always say, if you were wearing a tie, if you were a man and you were wearing a tie, the knot would be right there. So go just to the side of the knot, and you'll find that you're actually tapping on a bone that's there beside the knot. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I always use my fist, because I figure with a bigger amount. We're working on the vibration.
We're getting somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we're more likely to get the spot. So I always use my fist for that one.
Okay.
And then under the arm, as I said, is not up in the armpit, but where the bra goes across, or on a man, it's level with your nipple. And it's just under the arm and on top of the head, just the middle of the top of the head. And so it's really, really quite a simple method to go through. And okay.
Excellent, thank you. And so if you're going to be touching your face at home, make sure your hands are clean. I just use my product that always clean, but I just want to make sure that everybody knows that.
Okay, okay. And I was not going to use the face ones, was I? I was going to use these ones.
Well, your hands are clean. I'd like you to use your face if you don't mind, just to show people. And obviously, if you're at home, you can hit pause, run and wash your hands with hot soap and water or whatever you're using. And then you can join in fully and get the full benefit, right?
Okay. So what we're going to do today, this fear that is all over the world at the moment is a bigger problem, I feel, than the actual virus, because of the fear is taking over everybody. The fear is just taking over and causing so much stress in our lives. So what I want you to do is, I want you to tell me, I always say tell me, but you can't tell me because you're there and I'm here. I want you to notice where you feel the fear in your body. Think about it for a moment. Just close your eyes and think about where you feel the fear. Okay. And once you can feel that fear, then I want you to measure that degree of fear on that scale of 0 to 10. And once you've got a number that you can think of, just jot it down somewhere or keep it in your mind. You won't forget it because it's there and you'll have remembered what number you've given it. And once you've got that, then we're going to all start together. And we're going to start by tapping on the side of our hand.
Does it matter which hand you're using for which?
Doesn't matter which hand. I've got my dear friend in Australia who makes sure she does it both sides.
That would be me.
Yes, but no, either side, it doesn't matter which side. I always use this side. I don't know whether it's because I'm right-handed, I don't know, but I just do which is easiest for me. And so we say out loud, even though I have this fear and I feel it in my body. Say it out loud for me.
Do you want me to say it out loud with you? Okay. Even though
I have this fear and I feel it in my body.
And I feel it in my body.
I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
Even though I have this fear and I feel it in my body.
Even though I have this fear and I feel it in my body.
I love
and accept myself.
Even though I have this fear and I feel it in my body. I love
and accept myself.
Okay, so that's that's telling our body what it is we're working on. Okay, so now we start tapping on the points, and we start with the eyebrow point, and we just use this fear. Just say the word this fear.
This fear.
And on the side of the eye, this fear.
This fear.
And underneath the eye, this fear.
This fear.
And underneath the nose, this fear.
This fear.
And on the groove of the chin, this fear.
This fear.
And on the collarbone, this fear.
This fear.
And under the arm, this fear.
This fear.
And on the top of the head, this fear.
This fear.
And I want you to take a big, deep breath. That was interesting because while I was tapping, I don't know whether I've got somebody on here that's worked with me before, or it might have just been you. I felt as if the fear was released well before we even finished the round.
Yes, yeah. You can already feel it going down.
Exactly.
I didn't even realize I was holding this sort of anxiety and fear.
Yes.
It's like I just hold. I don't think about it, right? So it's
sadly this is often the case. People don't realize it until they start.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing. Okay, so what I'll assume there's somebody that hasn't gone right down to 0, and so although I know there's somebody that has, you'll know who it is. So what we'll do then, we'll do a second round of tapping, and this time we'll just say, even though I still have some of this fear, I love and accept myself.
Do you want me to repeat or just go?
We can do it all together.
Okay.
Even though I still have some of this fear, I love and
accept myself.
even though I still have some of
Some
this
of this
fear.
fear.
I love
I
and
love
accept
and accept
myself.
myself.
Okay. And so we're just going to do the same points again, and this time the remaining fear.
The remaining fear.
And outside your eye, the
The remaining fear.
and underneath your eye, the remaining
The
fear.
remaining fear.
And underneath the nose, the
The
remaining
remaining fear.
And on the groove of the chin, the remaining fear.
Fear.
And on the collarbone, just thump away there, this remaining fear.
The remaining fear.
And underneath the arm, the remaining
fear.
And on top of the head, the remaining
fear.
And again, another big deep breath. So basically that's the routine. It's the same every time, and it's the same no matter what it is you're working for. This is what makes it so beautifully simple. The thing that I can't stress enough about the EFT, once you've learnt the method, is please use it every day for just little things. Can I tell another story?
Yes, please.
I teach this class of EFT on a regular basis, and sometimes a man will want to come into the class and say to me, is there going to be another man in the class? So on those days, I make my husband sit in so I can say to that person, yes, there's going to be another man in the class. So Brian has heard these stories time and time again. He's heard the particular stories that I tell, and one of the stories is about our trip across Canada, where on our motorbike, where he was driving me nuts. And so every time I tell the story, he would be sitting in the class listening to me. And he's a beautiful soul, and he doesn't mind me telling the stories because he knows that there's a purpose to this story. After one of the classes, he walked into the kitchen one day and found me tapping. And he said, what have I done now?
Poor man.
And in that instant, it dawned on me that it wasn't what he had done. And I said this to him, it's not what you've done that I'm tapping on. It's my reaction to what you've done. And it was such a stupid little thing.
That's powerful.
It was such a stupid little thing. And it dawned on me then, the tapping brings about that awareness. The tapping brings you to a place of awareness that helps you to realize, you know, that there's something that you can work on and you can get rid of out of your body. And it's a very powerful tool to have. But it's a tool. And I can give you a tool the same as I can hand you a hammer. But if you don't use that tool, then it's not going to be worth anything to you. So any time that you feel yourself reacting to something stupid that your husband's done, like leaving the bath mat on the floor instead of hanging it up, which is what I was tapping on that day. I mean, something so stupid, and you know how easy it is for some of us to react to something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you realize, oh my gosh, I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to be angry at him. He's beautiful. I love him. Why would I be angry about such a small thing? That's the time in your life when you realize you can tap. And once you get into that awareness of tapping for anything that upsets you, for anything that gives you an emotional reaction, you'll find yourself tapping all day. And that's wonderful. And that's wonderful. Because not only does the tapping bring about the awareness that you need, but the tapping boosts your immune system.
Wow.
Because it's getting rid of these blockages that are dragging you down. Okay?
Yes.
So it boosts your immune system, which is just what we need in this time of crisis.
Exactly. Yes.
It helps you find peace and balance in your life instead of having this fear coming in onto you all the time, which is what's happening at the moment. It helps you to release the stress and anxiety, which is what we are all living through. And I don't know about you, but I've just arrived back from Australia and people are treating me like I'm the one carrying the virus. And you know, how dare I come back into the country having just been to Australia, you know. But yes, so help to relieve the stress and anxiety that goes along with that. But of course, the top one for me is that it boosts the immune system. And it does that by getting rid of all this crap that we're carrying,
Well,
that emotional
yeah,
stuff.
and that makes sense if you're accessing all those meridian points. I mean, if you don't understand meridian points, I encourage you to Google them, because it's a miraculous thing to understand that and be able to actually affect change with them and engage them. So, Vivienne, show us one more time. In general, you know, do we just stay with the same one? Do we bring in anything else? Show us one more time.
Okay, we use the same words for everything.
Okay.
Once you start working every day with the tapping, you will discover other ways you can use it yourself. It'll bring you about such an awareness that you'll be using it for just about everything. And you can, it's like if I find somebody getting upset in front of me in a grocery line, I'll tap.
I was just going to say, what do we do when we're driving? Because, we can't take our hands off the wheels, but what can we do?
Okay, well, the answer to that one is, as I was learning this session, the guy teaching us came into the class one day and said, okay, everybody, today we sit on our hands. And this is how we do the lesson. In other words, once you've practiced it often enough, and I encourage you to practice it physically first, you can actually imagine that you're doing it. And we all know how strong our thoughts are.
Yeah.
Our thoughts are capable of creating what it is we're thinking about. And so once you've learned the process, and I recommend you learn it physically first, then you can, if you're in the car and you can't tap, you can imagine that you're tapping, and you'll still have the same results. So the method is, again, on your karate chop point. Obvious why they call that a karate chop point, because that's where you would do a karate chop. On the side of your hand, that's where you put in the setup statement, even though I have this problem, I love and accept myself. And you do that 3 times, and that's just tuning in to let your body know what you're working on. And then you work round the points. This problem on your eyebrow, this problem on the outside of your eye, this problem underneath your eye, this problem underneath your nose, this problem on the groove of your chin, this problem on your collarbone, this problem under your arm, and this problem on top of your head. After that, take a big, deep, clearing breath and take your measurement again for what it is that you've been, from the number.
Let me ask you a quick question. We have got moms at home with kids full time that, aren't planning on this, and they can't take them anywhere, and they can't really do a lot with them. So what do they say? Even though my kids are driving me crazy? Like,
Yep.
What do they say? Okay.
Yep.
And we have partners that are home that aren't used to being home this much. It's kind of like a preview of retirement. And it's like, so even though, he's driving me crazy, or even though, okay.
Whatever it is that's upsetting you, whatever it is that you're feeling bad about, tap on it for any reason. And I have to impress on you that the words don't really matter.
Okay.
The words don't really matter. Once you're conscious of why you're tapping, your consciousness does it. Your consciousness knows that. Okay.
So I can say, even though I'm stressed financially, because there are a lot of people that are feeling that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. It's to remove the stress, and the stress is one of the, as it's been again scientifically proven, one of the biggest killers, bigger than anything, is stress.
Stress.
And it's a cancer-causing, disgusting part of our society, really. And it's something that that we certainly can tap away. And the more tapping we do, the more we find the release, and the more we find we're able to calmly face the day. I ask people to tap at least 4 times a day if they can. And they say, oh, how am I going to remember? Well, do it when you're sitting on the loo, for goodness sake. You're in the privacy of your own place. You can just, just 1 round of tapping for any reason, even though I don't know why I'm tapping.
Okay.
Even though I don't know why I'm tapping, I love and accept myself, because your body knows of some stress that's in there. Your body knows something that's blocked you in the past. And so even though I don't know why I'm tapping, can be another way of doing it. And so long as you're doing the tapping and a round of tapping, I tapped all the way across Canada on the back of that motorbike. And I'm driving along the highway and I'm tapping on top of my helmet up here. And I'm thinking, if people are looking, I didn't do it.
Did you get any strange looks? That's awesome.
I got a lot of strange looks, but I didn't care. It calmed me down. it really did allow me to enjoy the holiday with Brian, even though we were confined on the motorbike together, and it was really excellent. But
Well,
there is
and is it not just a beautiful gift also out into the world? Are we not also sort of putting that energy out into our
oh,
world in general as
absolutely,
well?
absolutely,
So,
because if you've calmed your energy down, then everything around you is going to be calm as
yeah.
well. And
Okay.
we can only bring peace to the world one heart at a time, and that is by doing
Yes.
it for ourselves. We can only do
Exactly.
that one person at a time. And if each person takes the trouble to bring themselves to a place of peace, then, you know, we'd all be fine. But there is something that I really would like to, I, I, I don't know, do we need to do it again? Do we need to go through the,
I don't think we need to do it again because
I don't think
people can rewind. So
rewind to do the video
yes.
again. But there is something that I do want to just read to you. It came to me at a very opportune time this week, as I was rereading a book that I'd read years ago. And the book's called The Game of Life and How to Play It. And it was actually
Favorites.
written in 1925, almost 100 years ago, by Florence Scovel Shinn. And the sentence that it just sprung out at me could have been written for today's world and for the mess we're in today, because it reads, one can only contract germs while vibrating at the same rate as the germ, and fear drags men down to the level of germs. And I read that, I thought, oh my goodness, she could have written that for today's world.
Absolutely.
And it is absolutely true. The fear is something that erodes your immune system. The fear is something that really literally drags your vibration down to the level of those germs. And that's when you catch it. That's when you get it. So while you're
Yes.
keeping your own body well nourished, well aired, well exercised,
All the things they're telling us,
all the
but
things exactly. But
if
once
this is our internal system that we're talking about. Thank you, Vivienne. I love Florence Scovel Shinn, and I love that book in particular. It has great personal meaning to me. So I'm going to put a link down below this video, whether it's in Facebook or in YouTube, that you'll be able to see the book that Vivienne is referring to. Vivienne, I'm also going to put a link where people can find you and get a hold of you, or at least start to follow you on Facebook. It's a Facebook group, correct? Or page.
yes,
Anyway, I'll put it down below in the links. And I cannot thank you enough. This has been beautiful. My whole being just feels calmed right down, and I think that's a wonderful thing. So I hope everybody listening will feel the same. Share it with your friends, share it with your loved ones. We all need to be able to do whatever we can do to improve our circumstances and make us all feel better. So thank you so much for being here, and we'll be in touch.
thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye. Bye.